Hey, this is C-Roc from Blooprinted. And if you really want to learn how to level up your life, you should be listening to the Time to Shine Today podcast with my good friend, Scott Ferguson. Let's go.
Time to Shine Today podcast, Varsity Squad at Scott Ferguson. We're at episode 241 with my boy C-Roc, Mike Ciorrocco from Blooprinted. He is an author, a rock star author, which I have a book giveaway at the end, so make sure you stick around for that. He started a company called Blooprinted, which is going to absolutely help you blow off your belief lid and level up your life. I could go on and on about my boy C-Roc, but I want you to sit back, relax, break out your notebooks, because here comes a free masterclass on legitly how to level up your life. So here comes my good friend, Mike Ciorrocco, C-Roc. Let's level up. Time to Shine Today podcast, Varsity Squad. This is Scott Ferguson, and I've been waiting with my guy C-Roc here. I'm not even going to say his last name. I'll let him introduce it and say it when he comes on. But I got him confused with another guest, and I literally busted his balls. So I'm going to publicly apologize to my boy C-Roc right now. But C-Roc is the CEO of People Building Inc. and the powerhouse behind What Are You Made Of movement. He's a performance coach, author, dynamic public speaker, visionary, and thought leader. And get this, he's been featured by Yahoo Finances, one of the top business leaders of 2020. You know, that year that kind of disappeared from us, but he actually thrived, not only survived. And his mission is to help build people. He's driven to inspire others, and he measures his success and how he's able to help others achieve greatness. C-Roc had a fire lit in him at an early age, which we're going to dig into that. And that fire has ignited him with a fierce desire to compel people to see the greatness inside themselves, using past life events to fuel their fire. He also has a new little passion project / a huge business growing called Blooprinted, and that's BLOO, which we will dig into a little bit later in the show. But Mike, C-Roc, thank you for coming on. Please introduce yourself to the Time to Shine Today podcast, Varsity Squad. But first, what's your favorite color and why?
Oh, I guess shit, man. I wear black shirts all the time, so I would say black.
Like Johnny Cash.
And why? It's just because, yeah, it's just easy. I don't have to think. It's easy to match with things. So I think that's probably why it is.
Absolutely. Unless you have brown. And then they say you can't wear black and brown together. But no, man, you're rocking. It's in your color wheel. This guy, if you're watching, he's built like a brick. He's a man among boys. He's always leveling people up. And let's get to the origins. Talk about that fire that was lit, if you don't mind that.
Yeah, I came from a broken home. I don't remember my parents together, and I did the every other weekend thing and child support, custody battles, conflicts, step parents adding their agenda into the mix.
Sure.
And dealt with all of that, and then was around a lot of broken people with aunts, uncles, cousins, people that had alcohol problems and drug addicts and suicide and mental problems, and the list goes on. And I'm not telling you that to complain, but that's what I came from. And in doing that, there was a period of time in my life from 0 to 8. I lived with my mom. Then she was on to her third marriage, and I didn't want to move into another man's house. So I decided to try my dad's house. He was moving in and marrying my stepmother, his second wife. And everything was fine for a period of time. And after a while, it started realizing what was going on. There was conflict with my dad, her. They would fight a lot, cussing, hitting, just stuff like that nobody should witness. Then there was issues with my mom, with her, and then it just poured down on us kids, right? When adults act like children, it comes down on us.
Right.
Well, for a period of time, I'm going through this. I used to sleep with my baseball bat, by the way, when I was 9, because I wasn't sure what was going to happen based on what I was seeing and hearing. I was scared. And I realized that after a period of time that this wasn't ordinary. At first I thought it was. But I realized after seeing other friends and I go over to their house and it'd be different, I'm like, this isn't right. So I broke the news to my mom what was going on. She was just perplexed. She said, there's no way I'm letting you go through that. You don't need to live in that situation. She filed court papers, and she told me that if I file court papers here, it's going to be a serious situation, and they're going to try to talk you out of this decision. I need you to stick to your guns. Like, you can't leave me out hanging out to dry.
Right.
So after weeks went by, finally those papers were delivered to my dad, and I came home from school one day, and this is where the fire was lit. My dad was my hero. Scott, he had a masonry business, brick, stucco, block, pour concrete, all that jazz, right? And he had big forearms and rough hands. You could tell he was a hard worker. I always looked up to him for that. And if you know anything about Italians and construction workers, they don't carry a wallet. They carry a wad of $100 bills, depending on the amount of how wealthy they are. But and they have a rubber band around it. And he used to flash that and show me $100 bills all the time as a kid. And I thought that was like just the coolest thing, right?
Ever, right.
So when he got these court papers, though, he confronted me. And I just remember my mom saying, stick to your guns, stick to your guns. And he said, I can't understand this. It says here you want to move back with your mom. And if this is your doing, I can't wrap my head around it because she doesn't have anything. She's broke. She's got men coming in and out of the house. She's married on to her third husband now. Why would you want to do that? And I said, I made my mind up. I'm not getting in a discussion with you. I made my mind up. I just remembered that. There's no need to argue here. And he said, okay, well, if that's the case, and he takes that wad of $100 bills out that I looked up to him for, peeled one off, crumpled it up, and then threw it at me and said, here, you're going to need this then when you're living on the streets with your mother one day. Now, I'm sure people have heard things that shouldn't have been heard by a kid before, right? But this is something that the reason I'm telling the story is because at that moment, the first thing I thought actually was like, what did I do? Oh boy. Like, what did I start? Right. But then very quickly I got out of that and I was like, you know what? I'm not going to let that. I'm not going to need that money. I'm not going to let him win. Right. I'm going to be the best that I can be at everything I do. So subconsciously, I lived off of this moment my whole life.
Your hinge moment. Yeah.
Yeah. And subconsciously I was living off of it and I would just drive through everything. Right.
Sure.
2 years ago, I had a rough spot in business where we ran into a conflict with an owner of a company we were working with. Money went missing, some of our money, quite a bit of setback, $1 million plus. And I started like thinking to myself, like, this is a pretty big setback here. But in my past, all my things that have happened to me, discouragements, screw ups, letdowns, I've always gotten through them, and not only gotten through them, but my graphs are always going up.
Sure.
I'm sorry I said graph because you said not to talk about analytics, but I had to use that. But anyway, I'm messing with you. But my graphs have always been going up, and I'm trying to figure out, like, if I can really bottle this, why this is happening and what's going on here, I can become unstoppable.
Yeah.
And what I found was, to wrap this up, is I was storing everything that came my way that would stop the normal human being or slow them down. And I was storing it in my tank instead of my trunk, where most people keep it. That's where it weighs you down, slows you down, and stops you. I was keeping it in my tank where I can convert it into rocket fuel for my future to become unstoppable.
Sure.
And I use rocket fuel because I want to go to outer space where there's no gravity and there's no toxicity and pulling you down. Absolutely. So that's the story of how the fire got lit. I wrote the book Rocket Fuel about it. Grant Cardone wrote the foreword for the book, talks about how that rocket fuel law that I created, it's just a reframed of another thing.
Love that, man.
He talks about how it affected him in his life and business. So that's where we are now, man.
So what was the secret sauce then, C-Roc, that you used it as fuel and not put it in the rearview mirror and kept pulling it forward? Like what was it that clicked, your hinge moment, to make it use as fuel? Because you and I have walked a very parallel path on a lot of things, man.
Yeah.
And I didn't. I let it pull me down, and I kept it in the rearview mirror, and I kept on pulling it forward. Like, what was it inside you that said, man, I'm going to crush this, smash it, instead of like cowering in a corner?
Well, it started when I was about 3 or 4 years old. I just remember my mom always telling me that you're so inspiring. You inspire me. You're going to be a leader one day. And that was like programming that she gave me. Like, we've all been programmed, good and bad, right?
Right.
That was some kind of programming she gave me. And it put pressure on me, actually, because when I was around my grandmother, who had depression and anxiety, and she overdosed actually on one of those antidepressants and died, suicide.
I'm sorry, man.
And yeah, thanks, man. I mean, it's one of those things that you just, anyway, she would tell me stories of why she's feeling this way and making excuses, right? Not explaining to me how she's feeling, but making excuses like everybody does for not having the life that they want.
Right.
And I just never bought it, man. I just never bought it. And anybody that gave me a line of shit
you're fine, brother. Fuck it.
Yeah.
Good.
So I just wasn't good with it, and I didn't want to accept it, even though they were. So what that meant was, if I'm going to be that way, and through my life, I thought about this, if I'm going to be that way with them, I can't make excuses myself.
Right.
And so that's where it started. And then I just started hanging around people that were doing things that I wanted to do, accomplish the things I wanted to accomplish. And my belief lid just started blowing off the roof. Like, there was no lid anymore. And that's basically where it started.
That's awesome, man. So tell me a little bit what you do here in a nutshell, kind of, at People Building.
So I have a mortgage division that I run for a large company. We have 30 some employees in our division. Started out with me and my partner, and that was it. We built it from scratch. No mentorship. Didn't know what the heck I was doing, which will lead you into Blooprinted later, which was the tech product that we're creating.
Sure.
But we just did it based on grind and hustle. And we had our ups and downs. We wasted a lot of money and time because we didn't know what the hell we were doing half the time. But we kept pursuing it anyway, and we kept advancing. One day I woke up and I realized that I'm not really in the mortgage business. I'm like, every day I work with people. I build the people around me. I try to elevate the people around me. So I thought about this and I said, you know what? I'm going to start a company called People Building, which People Building is a company that does a lot of things, but it's all centered around that all people are unstoppable to live in the life of their dreams. So everything that we do throughout this company is centered around tech products, coaching, events, different things like that to encourage people to understand that they are unstoppable. They just got to believe it first, get a clear vision and believe it before seeing it, and then taking the steps to go forward and making it happen.
Right. You believe it and you see it, right?
Yeah. And Scott, one thing, like we talked about Grant Cardone earlier offline, but one thing about Grant, I noticed since I've been studying him, I noticed that everybody around him thrives. And I noticed that that's what I want. Like, I want to be that guy, not for ego, but I want to be the guy that lifts people up. And when people come around me, they're like, I don't know what it is. They can't see it. They just feel it.
Yeah.
And it's something that elevates people. Like, and that's something that what lights me up is seeing other people advance by just being around me to be able to help them and push them and not buy their bullshit.
I love it. I love it, man. And so if I'm at a networking event, which you're in South Florida, which you're coming down to South Florida, we're allowed to do, press and flesh and getting out there. What am I hearing if I'm talking to somebody that would make them a good prospect, referral, or a connection for People Building?
Well, really what I'm focused on now is Blooprinted, which is the product that we're about to launch here in August. And Blooprinted is looking for first creators, consultants, coaches, trainers that have a blueprint to something, to their success in any industry, any vertical, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. But we have developed a software with a creator studio that is, there's nothing like it out there, where you can actually put not just video, not just text, but you can also put audio like Clubhouse, for example, like radio, also pictures and words and what have you. And it's basically like a social media platform, marketplace, project management software.
Wow.
And so these folks can come in, have their own profile page, bio video explaining who they are, why they're an expert in this field, and have as many blueprints as they want to create and sell that to the marketplace. It's just a better way to monetize their content and also help their clients, because I saw a limitation in digital video marketing, of digital video training, because a lot of times you see that there's no interaction between the creator and the student.
Right.
And the students half the time don't even finish them.
Right.
So this will have actually little nudges, calendar integration, text integration. And matter of fact, I'm even going to add something in there where you can actually chat with the coach or trainer or consultant.
Love it. And who is part of that team? Is it other coaches that you're bringing in to be part of Blooprinted, or how's that working?
Yeah. So we'll have 500 founders in different verticals, and we're going to just chip away. I already have a list of everybody, and nobody's told me no yet.
Sure.
But we've also done something recently, which is phenomenal. Which my partner is Jared Yellen, the co-founder. I have several partners, but Jared is the main co-founder with me. And I introduced him to the 10X Cardone ecosystem. And Grant had a meeting with him, and his eyes just blew open about the fact that we can create a tech incubator inside of 10X.
Love it. For
entrepreneurial ideas, tech ideas from entrepreneurs that are non-tech. And Grant and our team will help elevate them and launch their product, and then help them scale it, accelerate and scale, and then exit.
Love it.
So that is kind of the team that's involved, and Grant's involved and going to be involved in Blooprinted as well.
That's awesome to have kind of a lack of a better term, an A-lister there back in the start of it. So then when you're starting to work with companies that you're trying to kind of bring it into People Building Inc., you're kind of in a discovery period. Is there any good question that they should be asking you but never do?
I think that I'm not sure the bottom line is that the quality of your answer is going to be determined by the quality of your question, right? Mm-hmm. So I think the first question would be to ask, after talking to, like, I interview someone or talk to them, the first question they should ask is, where's the first place I should start? Like, where am I missing that because a lot of people are like confused and involved in chaos. And I think the first question that they should be asking is, where should I start? And that is clarity.
Mm.
and
Know your
assessment of
why,
where
get
you
that
are.
clarity, right?
Well, yeah, it's clarity of where you want to go, but also people miss this step right here.
Hmm.
Clarity of where they are now.
Right.
Because assessment of where you are now leads to elevation. If you don't know where you are now and you're not really clear on where you are now, whether it's your health, your finances, your career, what have you, you don't know how far you need to go to get to your point A or your point B. I'm sorry. So you got to figure out how far that is to bridge that gap. So the question I would say is, where do I start? And
Love
then
it.
I can take them from right there and show them the way. But a lot of people miss that step.
Absolutely. They always, I have it. I coach a lot of Major League Baseball players and stuff. And even there, they come in and they don't even know where to go. And they've made it to the show. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? They
Right.
goes and get that clarity to elevation. That's amazing, man. Good stuff. So you've seen the movie Back to the Future, right?
Yeah. A
Okay.
while back. A while
Yeah,
back.
let's get in that DeLorean with Marty McFly. Let's go back to the double deuce, the 22-year-old C-Roc. What kind of knowledge nuggets are you dropping him? That's what we call him at Time to Shine today. Knowledge nuggets are you dropping on him to maybe shorten his learning curve, maybe blast through and level up a little quicker?
There's so many, but I would go right to immediately. Don't care what people think. Be more concerned with how people experience you,
Yes.
and understand that anybody that's discouraging you or talking trash or any of that stuff, laughing at your idea, whatever it is, they're really talking about themselves, and
Exactly.
use it as fuel.
Love it.
So, and one other thing I would say is for the young people, stop chasing the opposite sex at that age. Focus on getting yourself right, taking care of yourself, building your financial situation,
Yeah.
money, wealth, and worth, your career, and then you'll have a much larger selection of the opposite sex.
Yeah, man. It's true.
Everybody's in a hurry, man.
Love it. I love it. So how do you want your dash remembered, man? That little line in between your incarnation date and your expiration date. How do you want your little dash on your tombstone, life date and death date? How do you want that remembered?
Well, bottom line, my mission is all people are unstoppable to living the life of their dreams. So I want
Sure.
people to feel like when they've been around me and experienced me, that they feel unstoppable afterwards. And that's the key for me. And
Sure.
I've been made to feel a certain way by my heroes.
Right.
And I want that feeling to go through me to other people.
Love it.
So at the end of the day, man, it's all about being unstoppable to live in the life of your dreams and no limits.
Love it. No limits and keep elevating. So tell me about a fail.
Yeah, I don't have any.
Wow. Okay.
I don't have any that I could speak of, man.
Okay.
Because
Fantastic, man.
everything that I do, I love this word inexorable. Inexorable means unyielding and unable to be stopped. And
Okay.
everything that I do, I either got or realized that I just was off course a little bit and I just need to redirect
Yeah.
into where I needed to go.
Right.
So I really don't have a failure to speak of. I don't, and I'm not trying to be, funny or anything, but
No,
it's
you're
just
good.
everything that I've done, like I've gone after and gotten it.
Good.
So,
Excellent, man.
and I'm not bragging. It's more about being so committed to something that burned the ships. Nobody's going to tell me otherwise.
Sure.
And also being able to be open to a little bit of movement
Right.
and redirect.
Right. Excellent, man. Excellent. I mean, I've had a bunch of them where I fail forward. That's for sure, man. But that's fantastic. So what do you think people misunderstand the most about you?
Well, I was working something with my coach recently. Shout out to Richie Dolan, great coach, friend, mentor. We were talking and again, talking about assessment, right?
Mhm.
I move so fast because when I've really found my mission, I was after 40 years old and I felt like my window had shortened.
Sure.
And I feel like I have so much to get accomplished in such a short amount of time now. So I have a saying, thrust is a must. I got to be moving forward and fast. Right.
Mhm.
And he had to remind me that, when you do that, like he's not going to talk me out of that. But when you do that, it's like a boat coming through in the water and there's people sitting on rafts and rowboats and you're going to leave a wake and that wake
Right.
is going to disrupt some people. And the reaction of those people may not be what you're expecting when you do something good or you're achieving things. You got to be conscious of that. He said, I don't want to tell you to slow down, but just be conscious of the wake that you're leaving behind you, because if you're more empathetic towards that, then it may allow you to advance further and help more people and impact more people.
Love it. Love it. And so what keeps you up at night?
I sleep good, brother.
Do you?
Yeah,
Good,
I
man.
sleep good. I think the only thing that would ever keep me up is really when I wake. I don't like have problems sleeping at night, but when I wake up early in the morning because I'm so damn excited.
Sure.
So for everything that I have going on, and once I realized that And it's really most recently, like when I get something in my mind that it can actually happen, no
Right.
matter what it is, and that's real, holy cow. Like now I'm excited. Now I want to
Sure.
get up and start the day and share that with the world. And I don't know if you deal with this. I just was thinking about this today, but in the morning time, when I wake up at 4 or 5, somewhere in that,
Mhm.
I like to wake up that early, but man, I get lonely. I have this thing where I want to be around people
Yeah,
and
man.
really touching them and elevating them.
Yeah.
The morning time, the only thing I don't like about the morning time is it's lonely.
Yeah. I feel you. I embrace it, man. I'm up at 4:45 every morning, and like I'm coming up on 50 years old, and I compete at a very high level of jujitsu. And like, so I do my time, and you're right, it gets boring, but then I'm on the mat.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So then I'm
yeah.
on the mat with the fellas, and we're getting after it, and the girls too, and we're getting after it. But I 100% agree. But then I also think that silence is God's voice, and I find a lot of solace in that, brother.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah.
And
I
I
do
coach my
that too. Yeah.
clients on that as well, that silence is
Yep.
important.
Yep.
So what are 3 things then C-Roc can't live without? And let's take out our phone and our tablets and all the technical
And
bullshit.
family and all that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Water, food, air. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
That was easy. Now I'm just
Chicken
messing with
wings.
you. No, I think I need people.
Love it. I was hoping
I
you were going
need
to say that
people.
because you just said it.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I need people around me.
Okay.
And the other thing I would say is my mind. I need to have my mind because I know how powerful it is.
Sure.
I'm aware of it. I have been able to harness the power of it now. And I would say the other thing would probably be books
Yeah.
because I love reading, man. I got books like all over the place, man.
Me too,
Like,
dude.
and I read like a maniac. So
I love it. I love it. So then what's C-Roc's definition of a life well lived?
yeah, man, that could be a lot of things, different levels too, right?
Sure.
But I think that as long as at this point in my life, I'm a believer in God. And I'm a believer in an all powerful, omnipotent God that has the ability to give us whatever we need as far as putting us here on this planet and saying, hey, you're unlimited, go get it.
Right.
And as long as I feel like I'm striving for my potential and going after it is every single day from when I wake up till when I go to bed and even dreaming about it. As long as I'm doing that, no matter when it ends, to me, I think that's a life well lived.
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. Time to shine today, podcast Varsity Squad. We are back with my boy C-Roc of People Building Inc. and also his new adventure Blooprinted. And C-Roc, we have to do a little leveling up lightning round where you and I could talk an hour on each one of these questions, right? But you got 5 seconds with no explanations. You ready to rock?
Yeah, let's roll.
All right, let's level up. What is the best leveling up advice C-Roc's ever received?
Man, there's a lot of it, man. I would just say I love the word inexorable. So don't quit, be unstoppable.
Love it. I love it. I was taught when I was young, do it for the intention, not the attention. I live by that. Share one of your personal habits that contributes to your success.
Being open to big jumps and things while I'm going incrementally towards my goals, being open to something big happening.
Love it. Love it. Like inch by inch, it's a cinch. By the yard, it's hard, but still got to be open to the big stuff.
Yeah.
Other than your website, MikeCroc.com, and also TimeToShineToday.com, my shameless plug. But what other website does C-Roc go to level up?
I would think, I got to shout out to Grant Cardone. I mean, my team and myself, I'm
Sure.
constantly in Cardone University.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
Very cool.
big, yeah.
Good deal. So you see me, I'm walking around. Fergie's not looking right. His posture's off. Everything's off. His energy's off. He's in his doldrums. What book are you handing me? Besides Rocket Fuel?
I was going to say, man, I think the one of the ones recently that I've really loved with that would be U Squared.
U Squared?
By Price Pritchett.
Yeah,
it's
man.
U with a little 2 at the top.
Yep.
Exponent. So
love it.
U Squared. It's a pretty good book.
What's your most commonly used emoji?
It's the guy with the sunglasses and a little fist bump.
Oh, man, I think you
and
sent
a rocket
that to me yesterday.
right next to it. Yeah.
Chess or checkers?
Chess, man. Yeah.
All right.
Chess.
All right.
Yeah.
And don't lie to me on this one, brother, but if you could stay physically one age for the rest of your life, keep all the wisdom you've garnered and continue to gain wisdom, what age physically would you stay for the rest of your life?
Physically, I'd have to say right around probably just under 40 because of the gray hair that's in the beard. I like that little look, but you're also still like, I still have some muscle.
Yeah, I feel you. How old are you, C-Roc?
I'm 44.
44. I'll be 50. So I'd take 32 all day because I'd be able to whip out of bed and do a lot more on the math than I can these days.
Yeah.
But I'll take it. Favorite charity and organization like to give your time or money to?
Yeah, there's one called the Believe in Tomorrow Foundation, and they have a place called Children's House by the Sea in Ocean City, Maryland.
Love
they
it.
help, terminally ill kids have vacations and with their families.
Excellent, man. You hear that, Donnie? Let's put those in the show notes. All right, cool.
Thank you.
What's the best, last one you can elaborate on this one, C-Roc, but what's the best decade of music? 60s, 70s, 80s, or 90s?
Shit, man. I'm so easy to evolve with what's going on now.
Me too.
Man. Shit. I would have to say hip hop from the late 90s.
Okay. Very
Biggie,
cool.
Jay-Z and all that, because that's when I was in college, coming out of high school and all that.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. I love it. So how can we find you, brother?
Everywhere, man. Like if you just look up Mike C-Roc on Clubhouse, Instagram,
everywhere.
LinkedIn. I mean, I made sure that I'm omnipresent. So
love it. I love it. Tell us about Rocket Fuel, that book that's sitting behind you, bro.
Yeah, that book started with me just, I was doing the podcast, What Are You Made Of? And I was trying to find the ingredients of my guests, what went into making them. And I started sharing my story on there as well. And I just took a what do you call it when you, a transcription. And I just started using that as a brain dump. I brain dumped it. And then we started organizing that along with my journaling. I fly all over the place. So while I'm flying, I like to journal on my phone. And I just took all that to use. And it's basically the story of how I found out how to become unstoppable. It shares the journey and then my mentorship that I've taken on from other people that have had success. And I just put a formula in there for people.
I love it. And squad, I'm going to get Mike I'm going to purchase 2 books, one for me, which he's going to sign for me. And then whoever puts Everybody Is Unstoppable in any one of the socials first for Time to Shine today, whether it's Instagram, Pinterest, Twitter, Facebook. Then I'm going to have Mike sign a copy and mail it out to you. If he could take care of the post, it'd be great. If not, I'll Venmo him the money. Is that all right with you, Mike?
Yeah, absolutely, man.
All right, perfect. So again, Everybody Is Unstoppable. Put that in your remark after you tell us what you think about this interview. And Mike, do me a favor and leave us with one last knowledge nugget you want us to take with us, internalize, and take action on.
Yeah, we have a core values acronym that we use in my business, and I use it in my life, and it's called VITAL. And the V stands for vibes matter. Emotions are contagious. The I stands for imagine, no limits. T stands for take 100% responsibility in all things. A stands for all setbacks are rocket fuel for your future. And L stands for leadership starts with me.
So it's rocket fuel for your future on that A.
Yep. All setbacks.
All setbacks are rocket fuel. And what's that L?
Leadership starts with me.
Love it, man. In squad, we just got a free masterclass from my guy that is in the stratosphere with regards to leveling up. And he wants you to blow off your belief lid and just get after it. Doesn't want you to believe in excuses. Like we say here, winners make adjustments, losers make excuses, or maybe I should dumb it down a little bit for people that get offended, but mediocre people make excuses. He wants to elevate people around himself, and he wants you to also do the same. And remember that everybody is unstoppable, and that when you have clarity of where you are, it will lead to elevation. So know your why, know your present situation. And you know what? Me and him run so parallel, because I live by the moniker that as long as I haven't offended you, hurt you, stole from you, I give zero about what you think about me, as long as I'm doing everything in the service of others. So he doesn't care about people think about him, because he's always pressing forward and helping people elevate, or like we say here, level up. That thrust is a must. I love that. Get busy living. Don't get busy dying, but watch your wake. Watch the people that you might be hurting while you're moving forward. And then he uses the acronym, and I'm going to shorten even his acronym. The V is vibes, I is imagine, T is take 100%. A is all setbacks are rocket fuel for you, and that leadership starts with me. And he's an ultimate leader. He's humble yet hungry, levels up his health, levels up his wealth. He's earned his varsity letter here. C-Roc, thank you so much for coming on, man. I really appreciate your time and all that you're doing to level up, and I can't wait to do some collaborations with you in the future, brother.
Thank you, Scott. I appreciate you, man.
You bet. Level up.
Hey, thanks so much for listening to this episode of Time to Shine Today podcast. Proudly brought to you by Sutter & Nugent Real Estate Excellence, who can be reached at 561-249-7266 and online at www.sutterandnugent.com. If you are a business owner or professional who would like to be interviewed on Time to Shine Today, please visit timetoshinetoday.com/guest. If you like this episode, please subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or wherever you get your podcasts. There's a link in the show notes to our website. Also there, you will see our recommended resources. We hope that you will support our show by supporting them. If you like what you've been listening to, it'd be great if you could just give us a 5-star rating and tell your friends how to subscribe while you're at it. I'm your host, Scott Ferguson, and until next time, let's level up. It's our time to shine.